In this chapter, we see a very touching story, albeit told through a flashback. It gives us some insight into why this small child Inari is just so withdrawn. Naruto, number 20. The Land That Had a Hero.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the flashback-centric, that's what this chapter is all about, awesomely woven tale of Naruto. Our last chapter really saw everything ending off with everyone sitting around at dinner, and Tazuna was going to go and kind of give them the whole rundown of what happened to Inari's father. Not biological father, mind you, but his father nonetheless, a father figure, someone that was very close, adopted father, if you will. So that's where the chapter left off. And this one picks up, and it actually goes into, it picks up right where it left off. You know, Tazuna is going to go, and he's going to explain to them the story of Inari's father, what happened, how it happened, that sort of thing. So they go into this flashback, and it's 3 years ago, right? And Inari, who's already a young kid, maybe 9, 10 years old, I don't know. This is a few years ago, so he's got to be 6, 7 years old, right? I have a 7-year-old. And it starts out, and this kid is he's being held by 2 other kids, and they're on a dock, you know. And typical bully fashion, you got, you know, strength in numbers bullshit. Not a one of them has the balls to do anything probably by themselves, but strength in numbers, they think they're cool, they think they're tough shit, picking on somebody who's smaller. So Inari had a dog apparently, right? And then this one kid that's wearing a helmet, right? And whatever. I'm not even going to get into the jokes about this fucking kid wearing a helmet, but he's got his little helmet on, and he's the biggest douchebag bully of them all, and he's holding this dog, you know, Poochie, I think his name was, or whatever, and he's like, his name is going to be this, you know, and he's, you know, just going on, just being a dick, right? And Inari's like, no, it's not your dog, it's my dog, you're not going to name him that, blah, 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 you know? So anyway, he winds up going, and just to prove a point, this little prick goes and throws the dog off the pier, off the side of the pier, into the water, right? And dogs, I thought, instinctively knew how to swim, but apparently this one immediately didn't, and the dog was looking like it was drowning. So they wind up letting the kid, you know, letting the Inari go, and he's like, hey, you love your dog so much, go on and jump in after him, right? And save him. Well, Inari can't swim. Now, I'm also a person who can't swim. It's not really, well, I guess it is a kind of by choice thing. It was just sort of, there was a traumatic thing that happened to me when I was younger. I wound up having pneumonia. I was very, very young, and then ingested some water when I did jump in the pool. And anyway, long story short is that I just wasn't a big fan of water after that. So although I can swim enough to float, save my life, and maybe do a little bit of doggy paddling, I'm not going to be winning any 50-meter breaststrokes or anything like that, right? So the point is, though, is that, you know, these kids going there, you know, oh, come on, you're going to get this and that, and the kid's just freezing up, and Ari is freezing up, and he doesn't want to jump in. This little bastard kicks him in anyway, or pushes him in, or whatever, and he's in there, he's flailing, they're both drowning. All of a sudden, and the kids are laughing, you know, and one of the kids, actually, I gotta say, was like, hey, you know, we shouldn't do that, we should save him. The other one's like, hey, do you want to be next, you know, and the big bully with the fucking helmet, right? And anyway, it's just type of stuff just bothers me, you know what I mean? So, oh, boy. Anyway, I'm going to have a story sometime soon for you, a really good one about somebody who tried bullying my brother, and it didn't end well for him. But anyway, story for another time, another video. So, back to the matter at hand. The dog all of a sudden instinctively starts to learn how to dog pedal. I'm dying. I'm tired of ingesting this water, so I'm going to learn how to go like this, right? So, the dog starts dog paddling, going in towards shore. And these kids are going to go and just leave Inari in there, right? Leave him to die or what have you. So Inari goes, and as he's sinking under, he has this like little inner monologue of like, oh, I can feel it. Oh, it hurts so bad. This is it. This is the end. I'm dying, right? Next thing you know, next panel, he's sitting there, and he's, you know, laid out, and it looks like there's a little fire going and everything like that. And there's this guy that's you know, with him, whatever. And he's like, oh man, I hope you're okay. He's like, hope you're hungry, you know. And got some food here and this and that. He's like, you know, and then he's like, I beat the shit out of those 3 bullies that were here too, you know, taught them a lesson. So Kaiza's introduced, and he was, you know, he's more or less like this wandering, we're not gonna say like a hobo, but somebody that's like, he's like a wandering like person in search of like fame and fortune, you know, that sort of thing. So, and anyway, he winds up, you know, he talks to Inari. They wind up becoming close. He gets him to eat the fish, finally gets him to smile, and the whole flashback and tale is kind of building up and showing that this guy was just a genuinely good person, right? And that he was actually like labeled in the town and almost immediately as a hero. He got in very close with Inari's family, obviously. I'm not quite sure if he wound up then hooking up with the mother, Tsunami, or what, or if he just sort of was hanging out there. I'm assuming that they wound up, hooking up and everything too, because the kid was calling him daddy and everything else. They even show this flashback, this point where there's a huge flood coming, and some of the breakers, the locks and stuff for them are actually open, right? And they've obviously got to get these things closed off so things don't flood, things don't overflow. Or maybe that one's closed and they got to get it open. Anyway, it goes and it shows Inari and how brave he is, and he goes and not Inari, Kaiza, and Inari, and it gets some rope, and he goes down there, and nobody else wants to jump into this torrential, downpour and this crazy current to try to get a rope around this thing to actually pull to get this lock shut. And he winds up jumping in, and very much a hero. And it talks about how, if you love someone or if you love something very much, to make sure that you never let it go, that you always do everything you can to protect it and that sort of thing, And so it was really cool to kind of see this touching story of Inari and Kaiza and how they became so close, right? But then I guess, as most of these flashbacks and stories do in really any media, it winds up, there's a negative, a dark cloud hanging over the story. And when Gato, the evil businessman that took over the Land of Waves over here, moved in about a year ago, he wound up having Kaiza put to death. Public execution, too, right? I'm thinking, what the hell is with this guy? They go and they show it. They show a brief thing and whatnot, and they got him pretty much pinned up and tied up to like a cross or whatever. And this Gato is going, for speaking out against my company and committing acts that would be considered to be terrorism and this and that, which is basically just his way of saying, like, this guy went and tried to speak out against me, so I'm going to fucking make an example of him so all you other fuckers fall in line. And that's what he's saying, right? If you read between the lines, that's exactly what winds up coming out. And Inari, of course, he winds up seeing this. He sees his surrogate father, Kaiza, he's been calling daddy, father. He winds up seeing him put to death, killed and right in front of him, So that's really kind of what made him withdrawn and made him all messed up. Because then it goes and it kind of shows a couple flashbacks to like just a few chapters ago when, he went and he pulled himself away from the table and he's like, there is no more heroes, when Naruto was talking about it. He was being a hero and everything else. So it was a very touching flashback, and really kind of gives you some insight into why this kid is a little bit messed up now. He's been very negative and withdrawn emotionally, because he lost this father figure. And I guess he latched on to Kaiza, and they became best of friends and so close. But his real father, I guess they said, died when he was very young, so he probably never really remembered him or knew him, And I think every kid wants parents, wants a father figure, a mother figure, wants somebody to nurture and love him, wants somebody to go and teach him how to play this or how to do that, or how to shave or whatever it is, the things that you wind up choosing to do with your children, I certainly know. I mean, I grew up with, two parents, and all the things weren't always the greatest in our household because I was the oldest of six. There was obviously a lot of children running around, and that caused a lot of stress and strain on my parents' relationship. They still were. They were together, and they still did the best that they could with the means and what they had, So, but the chapter winds up ending off shortly after that, and I thought this was kind of cool because after they go and they show the whole Kaiza got put to death thing, Gato's an evil bastard, we know, blah, blah, blah. And obviously that's when Inari became withdrawn and everything. And then we show this stuff. And then it's kind of cool because, Naruto goes and gets up. And Kakashi's like, don't even think about training anymore, you're going to wind up killing yourself if you don't get the proper amount of sleep and whatnot, because you've used up all your chakra type of thing for today, you had your limit, enough for you, go to bed now, that type of thing. And Naruto is pretty cool how he does it, man. He's just like, you know what, I'm going to prove to him that he's wrong. And everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? Prove to who? What? And he's like, I'm going to show Inari that there are still heroes in this world. And I tell you, that's kind of, man, say what you want about the series. Doesn't bother me one way or another, but man, I tell you, what a great example for this kid to set. This kid who's been shunned by everybody, this kid who's been treated like garbage by everyone in his own town because of something, the circumstances beyond his control. This person who never really even had anybody like that, right? He's going to go and stick up for and show this child that there is still heroes in this world. And I tell you, man, I just, I have to commend that. I really do. I have to stand behind that because I wouldn't be a good person, a good father figure, or just a decent human being if I didn't. Absolutely a great lesson and a great way to end off a chapter over here. And just the stern look on his face, the look at determined. I'm going to show Inari that there are still heroes in this world. And like I said, just very touching, very cool, very moving. That's going to lead into my chapter question, brothers and sisters. What are your thoughts on, obviously the flashback and kind of Inari and his whole relationship with his surrogate father? That's great. Weigh in on that if you like. My chapter question is, what are your thoughts on Naruto and his, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to say it. I don't know if it's like his courage, his resolve, his what. But I mean, this person who's been shit on all his life to go and want to go and stand up for this complete stranger to him. I mean, somebody he's known for a very short time and has been very mean and withdrawn to him, and to show him that, you know what, man, there are still heroes in this world. I really like that, and I want to know what your thoughts are on it. So leave it in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of yous in the next Van Nation.
If you like Star Wars, Han Solo, or helmets, I think you should go over and check out my Facebook and Instagram pages.